There we go.
Awesome. Okay, so I guess we are ready to officially start. Okay, so hello everyone and welcome to Concordia University's fourth space. Thank you for joining us for Inverse Interface. To help situate you, we are streaming to YouTube live from fourth space, which is located on unceded indigenous lands in Tiohtià:ke, Montreal. At fourth space, we work with our university community to mobilize knowledge by co-creating daily activities to examine research questions and projects in development here at the university. We are running this event as a live stream meeting, so we welcome your comments and questions with a raised hand or via the chat if you're joining by Zoom. For those of you in the space, if you'd like to participate, just let us know by raising a hand and we'll be sure to get a microphone to you. It is now my pleasure to hand it over to project creator and research intern, Juan Miceli.
Well, hello. I'm really happy to be here at the fourth space with my Canadian friends and family. I've been trying to get to do some stuff here. I really believe in what I call our technique, which is a way of thinking and embodying thinking at the same time. It's not that I'm writing a thesis. So I've been a long time trying stuff. Well, Richie knows that. He was the first one that trusted me to make this vision machines workshop, which you can visit a different version of that at the back of fourth space. And one of the first places I visit was this one, and I wanted to do something here. I didn't know what, but well, here we are. Here, I think we met each other. Yes, here it was the first time that we had an AI thing. Yes, that was the thing that we were starting putting our names on the chat GPT. Yeah, can you remember that? And he gave like fake versions. So first of all, here is my friend from Argentina, which is like a very important part of the process. We have been all the time eating apple cakes. So no, I'm kidding, but the thing is that we share lots of things, but we are from the same home institution, so it's a very special way of sharing. From the very beginning, she can testify that I wanted to do something here, so I'm very thankful to Doug.
This is just so we can hear her on the Zoom and on the live stream. So.
Excellent. Nice. Thank you. Thanks.
So first of all, I want to thank the fourth space, and I also always have to say that I thank the ELAP Scholarship that brought me here to Montreal, which is really important to make this research intern work at the Concordia University. But the important thing here is the VHS. So I'm quite focused on this idea of vision machines and how vision machines, it's like in a way mold us our way of seeing, but it's more than our way of seeing. It's like all our, which I call interface. This idea of sharing, I don't know, you want to try it? I suppose you already tried it. It's fake. It's a fake cut. So
it's the first time.
Yeah, it's the first time. So I brought some. The idea is, I believe that opening I believe that when we start seeing these boxes, my invitation is to open the black box. You know, the black box that we don't know what is inside. Well, let's see what is inside the black box. So if you want to, you can do it with a hammer. You can do it with a screwdriver. You could do it in the way you can figure out how to open it. So you're absolutely free. Even you have also some small, you know, cassettes, audio cassettes. And the thing is, I have to thank largely to the BCR Concordia, which gave me all the VHS tapes, and they donate a very special collection, which is of Hollywood, not commercials, musicals. Yeah, and it was quite interesting because I also have to thank the CDA. I will be all the time thanking people. You know, they were that made possible that this happened. The people at CDA Concordia, when I went there to ask for a VHS player, they told me, we have VHS players, but we have run out of television that can match VHS players. But we have this strange machine, which is a huge television with both a VHS player and a DVD player incorporated. So it was like, oh my. And then I have to thank Claudia Costa, which is not going to be here, but it's an important part of this process, that took me to the idea of technopoetics. And I'm telling this because of that machine. That machine is a good example of technopoetics. When I discovered it, I start playing with the idea. I did something. Yeah. I start playing. Sorry. I start playing with this idea that, of course, machines has its own ghosts and its own ways of speaking, of telling things. So I start playing like a V-shape, but a strange V-shape that plays with VHS and DVD player at the same time. So I think the first time was with you. I start going to the, you can come to the table if you want. If not, you're going to be the only, as you wish. I start going to the VCR Concordia to watch movies, and I used to see the same movie, but in different formats, like Blu-ray, DVD, VHS. And the first movie we watched together, it was what? Sunset Boulevard, which is already a classic of this kind of movies, which VCR gave me. And it's supposed that I have to speak about my thesis process, so I will go back there. The thing is, I ask myself, how do they mold us?
What molds us?
I don't know, the system, the school, society. If Don and Trisha would be here, they would appreciate this society joke. But the thing is that in which way we imagine what we do.
Which was the first mold that you thought about that made you expand on that field?
I think I always trying to find out which is the first one, and it's really difficult. But I invented myself a legend. I really believe in mythic thinking more than linear thinking. So I think that the first mold that I went through was a movie, of course, which was called The Adventure of Poseidon, which tells the adventure of a ship, a transatlantic or a cruise, that is turned around by a giant wave, and all the survivors had to live in a world that is upside down. That molded my imagination in a way you wouldn't believe. After seeing that movie, I should be 7, 8 years old, and it was those kind of movies that people went to take to the birthday party. In Argentina, it's very common that for kids' birthday parties, It was not right. Yeah, it was like 40 years ago or 30. I don't know. A few years ago. Just a few years ago.
At some point.
Yes.
At some point in time.
At some point in the past, exactly. So the thing was, when I saw that movie, I couldn't stop imagining how would I get out of a place that is turned upside down. So, for example, I went to the dentist, and I was waiting for the dentist to see me, and I should go that way. Because if this turns around, the way would be there, not, So I was all the time speculating about that.
Yeah.
And I think that leads me straight to the suspension.
I thought about it.
Yeah, even I forgot about that movie for a long time, but I started hanging myself upside down.
I think maybe some people is watching and then they don't know what you're talking about.
Yes.
What is the suspension?
The suspension is like a yoga, I don't know how to pronounce yoga practice. Yeah. Practice. I used to learn with my master, Pablo Montes, which is from Argentina, and all the time I used to do. I really believe that our technique, or what I call our technique, is a way of finding meeting points with other people. It's nothing if we do things on our own. Sometimes you have to, but I mean, what I propose through my practice is to building bridges or building meeting points. So going back to that, I mentioned Pablo Montes because it was a moment in which I do sculpture and installation, not performance, but hey, come. The idea is like we are going to share a table. If you want to stay there, it's okay also, but I'm telling you that you can join us. So if you want to, you can pick a VHS tape or a cassette and start to get, I need lots of, yeah. You can pick some of these. Yeah, they are all musicals from the golden era of Hollywood movies. So I go back and we have our friend here, the idol, you know. Here. So the thing is, the suspension, I used to do these hanging sculptures made out of a very Latin American technique, which I call the miasma technique. Miasma is, that's the suspension. So I don't have to explain it. That's the,
People on Zoom can't see.
So?
People on Zoom cannot see.
Oh, people on the Zoom cannot see, but so I will explain it. I hung upside down as a way of relaxing my body at the yoga practice. But the thing that was that one day my master, Pablo Montes, told me, as you make all the time hanging sculptures, why don't you hang yourself, but not in a wall, in the center of the room? And it was amazing. That day, I think he blew my mind.
That first time already had the VHS?
No, no, it was just my body in a sweatpant and a t-shirt.
What hung you? Was it a rope? Like
Yes, it's a rope similar to the belts you use at the cars. They have to be resistant, you know, it's like, that was the only thing. But then I add this because I started thinking about this as the shoes of the machine. I'm really focused on what's the corporeality of machines.
Like in materiality kind of way or more abstract?
No, both abstract. What is the soul? What are the ghosts that inhabit? For example, a moment ago we were trying to make that overhead projector work, and it's like, oh, you know, it's like there is something there that doesn't allow us to make it work. You know, it's like this idea of the machine as having a kind of a soul. But if it has a soul, I'm not quite sure. I'm just speculating as usual. It should always have somebody. You know, well,
So
if
like plasma.
yes, this is the milk you can get from the machines. You know, like the shoes. That's why I call it leche negra. With what that was something that we made at the Black Box a couple of weeks ago with Le Parc, with the curator of Lucy Fandel and Asia and Margaret Lab. That was the idea. But right now here, I met some people which have really, really interesting points of view. For example, with this guy from the Engineer University, Erfan Safi.
fix everything.
Yeah, well, everything happens at the fourth space. One day I was here at the fourth space at the 6th birthday of the CUCCR, the soccer. So Maya is also one really important point in this development. He teach me a lot of things related to I always reuse as a Latin American. We have no other option than reusing, but not as something that you have to get, I don't know, because you don't have nothing better, but just as a decision. Oh, there is Lucy. And there is also Trisha. Well, people at the Zoom is not seeing, but we are. So like the event is hybrid. All this collaboration, I tell the people in the Zoom, all these collaborations we made here, I'm sharing it with all the people because it's really important. I was speaking about building bridges and founding. So going back to the suspension, I tend to, you know, go irse por las ramas en inglés.
The tangent.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go to the branches. Yeah, and in Spanish is go to the branches. Yes. So one day, Pablo Montes told me, hang yourself in the middle with no walls that gives you the idea of having a ground. Because as a relaxation or a relaxed position in yoga, you always do it in front of a wall that it gives you some backup. But when I start doing it, like it was like blowing my mind. So I had the feeling I was going through the experience of my own sculptures. I had this. I was sure I was able to feel what those hanging sculptures felt. You have one there, but people at the Zoom is not going to see, but people here is going to see the one hanging sculpture on the other. I brought everything, you know. I have like a cave at the EV building with all my stuff.
So, how the VHS got into the
Suspension. Well, that's a good question. I was working as usual in a collective of artists, which was called the Lacto Power Trio, which means the I don't know how to the Milk Power
diary?
Trio.
Lacto, as in lactose?
Milk?
Milk, like the Milk Power Trio.
Okay.
You know, it was like a power trio that reminds the power trio from jazz, but it was a power trio of artists. We made this performance at the public space.
What year? Around what year?
2010, 11. So one day we started, well, we were always experimenting things, which is something I truly believe is connected to the practice, which is experiment, and I call it like a critic experimentalism. You know what I'm talking about these techno-poetic things Flavia Costa speaks all the time. And it was like, I don't know, we started breaking VHS tapes. So when this came out, it was like, oh my. I always used to work with bones. That's why the friend is here. I really love bones, you know, bones and flesh and whatever. And you know, there is a connection. That's why the VHS came. There is a strong connection between bones, fossils, and VHS, and plastics, and petrol. So this gave me the idea, or I felt that it synthesized all that world, from fossil to petrol, and even to industrial revolution, which was, you know, in a way, because it's like the shoes of the machine. It's like, and it synthesized this idea. I'm really a fan. I brought my books, so my thesis books are there. Some of them, the main ones, Erin Manning and Louis Mumford.
Kind of.
Yes, all kind, Scolari, whatever. And it was like, in a way, I was thinking about the machine as something that is not out of us, of course. Lewis Mumford proposed something which for me is brilliant, and he says the first machine is the mechanic clock. No? At the Middle Ages, the first virtuality.
Right.
You know, when we create the day, it wasn't exist the day. It could be measured by sun, it could be measured in different manners, but it couldn't be measured in a mechanical way. That was it's like the mold. I'm really focused on the mold because I will go bring something. Because if not, people of the Zoom is going to lose this part, and it's important for me. So I'm obsessed with molds. I took molds of whatever, my face, English toys made for children to play, that they have tea. And the thing is that, related to the machine, I think mold is one of the first machines, even if it's not a machine. It gives the idea of
I think it would be good if you give more examples.
Yes.
Because like mold can be, it depends on how you like pronounce it. Like it may mean a lot of things.
Yes.
So, and in Spanish we use that word like it doesn't have so
Yeah.
many.
Yeah. Okay. I speak about mold in a
Two simple examples of mold.
Yes. Okay. To reproduce this piece, you need a mold. If you make it by hand, it's not going to be always the same. It's always to be different. It's like the negative. Yeah.
Like what gives the shape of something,
Yes.
right?
Yes. It's like the negative of this shape. You fill it with matter, maybe clay or whatever you fill it with, and then you obtain this. Even as I said that you are going to get always the same, that's not true. The mold doesn't guarantee that it always makes the same thing, but it creates the idea that it makes the same thing. But the thing is that mold, besides having the capability of reproducing, it also has the capability of reproducing the idea of mold. You know? You know, it's like it makes publicity of itself. Believe in me, I can repeat things exactly as they are supposed to be.
So you yourself are a mole.
Sorry?
You yourself are a mole.
Oh.
That's what you're saying?
No, it's not that. I'm quite obsessed in how I was molded and how we were collectively molded. For example, on the 70s, there was a blockbuster movie which was called Jaws by Steven Spielberg. And it was a huge mold of the imagination of a whole generation because it created the idea that a shark can be at the water. So people started feeling afraid. So, but there wasn't a shark on every beach. You know, you can think about that as a huge mold, as a really effective mold. And even the thing which calls my attention a lot is that it wasn't made on purpose. But if you want to make it on purpose, you can. So that's publicity. You know, in a way, yesterday, I think, I don't know if I have to invite Mariela. No, we are on time. So the idea of going back to molds, it seems like really cute, you know, a small tea set, nice. You can play, for example, I don't know, I will put some milk. Do you want some sugar? Everything looks great. Yet, I can't help asking myself, why are they trying to sell in me that the idea of English tea is good itself? Why should children have to believe that having English tea is a good thing? Because it's the way that happens.
It's the idea that is molded into the things
before
somebody even molded an English tea to sell it.
Yeah.
Right. It's the idea of how we are made.
Yes.
And it's that sense of possibility, right?
Yes, exactly.
So I'm kind of curious, like
Yes.
in terms of your praxis, right? I mean, if you look at the materials that you've used, VHS, clay, bones, for example, these things are some, you know, what some people might say are archaic or anti-modern, you know, pre-modern. When I see you work with the materials, I see that you don't only just buy or take a VHS, you individually take each one out and you sense it and you feel that untangling.
Yes.
And if we go on that thing of mold is in, like, there's a possibility, like something can be made even though you're destroying it, something can be tied. Just like that time when you're at the dentist, just like that time when you're suspending and your world is upside down. What do you feel every time as an artist yourself or as who you are, every time you're engaging with the material, molding, becoming something?
Oh, the thing, I get the idea that there is always another possibility. Things could be different all the time. I mean, I could be at my home, at the Webster Library writing my thesis right now. But I ask myself, what happens if I invite a bunch of people to be at the fourth space with VHS? We can open this, make ourselves questions about what is art technique practices, what are art technique practices. And the thing is, yesterday I have a meeting with Andres Rodriguez, which is the director of my thesis, alongside Mariela Yeregui, which is going to be speaking in a while. And it was like, he asked me, how do you think it started? And I have a very special moment in which I think that it started. It was like a curiosity. You know, it was like, I remember when I was really a boy, there was a huge pool at my uncle's place. So it always caught my attention, but they say it's dangerous. So one day I get rid of my mom and dad, jump into the 4-meter deep pool and sink like a rock to the bottom. And I realized that there was another world. So that's what I get. I didn't have an accident there, you know, it could have been.
You knew how to swim at this point?
I swim at the beach, but it was,
you could survive.
Yes,
Okay.
I went, you know, that they put these things at the bottom of the pools to clean them, and they have a rope. I would remember perfectly to get the rope and start pulling it to go to the bottom. So after that, my parents wisely decide, let's send him to learn to swim, to scuba diving, to whatever he wants to do, to have tools, because that's important also. You know, Richie, you're speaking about different materialities. This clay, for example, is clay I pick up from the streets. I don't buy clay.
That was a question I wanted you to ask. I know what they are, but I think it would be interesting if you mentioned why these pieces are here. Like it's a good example for the mold, but I know there's more there.
Yeah, I will combine the two questions because they are together in a way. What do I feel? Well, I feel curiosity, but I feel that they are always trying to sell me something. You know, why do I buy clay? One day I went out of my workshop and they were doing this big public construction of a huge bridge close to the place. So I saw they were drilling the earth like 12 meters deep. So I found there were huge mountains in a place that there were no mountains, never. So I said, that's clay. Why do I buy clay? So I started picking that clay alongside Mara Rivielo Lopez, which is my partner in that project, which started being really odd, but right now it's like a project, you know, with the government of Buenos Aires gave us money to make it, to spread it. I don't know, it's strange because we also are focused on getting the earth or the clay from the public constructions of the government, but also as a way of criticizing those gentrification of the city, all that stuff that is going on here in Montreal. Here I connect with some groups that made the same thing, that they work with local clay. And so the thing is that, I think that's the spark. You know, why do I buy clay? What would happen if everything turns, you know, it's the same question for me, or the same sensation. At the dentist, what does it happen if everything turns around? What should I do? So why do I buy clay? I ask this friend of mine. I always work with friends. You know, Mara is a friend first. She's a ceramist, but she can be all both. There is no problem in that. So I said, what do you think about firing this clay? I don't know, let's try. So, and the mother of Mara is also a ceramist from very young. He works with natural clay from the different rivers or whatever. So she helps us a lot. And we're starting to ask, why do we buy clay? And so we stopped buying clay. That's a thing that I have to thank also to the master program which we came from, that has a political stand that is related to to become more like a producer than a consumer. No, I'm looking at Leo.
I'm having so much fun.
Is there a joke I missed?
So the thing is, I really believe, maybe I shouldn't be saying this at the beginning, you know, to create some suspense, but I really believe that we can change things through this kind of practices. Not mine, but every people that it's related to, questioning in a way how the way things work.
Do you feel these things still belong in this world? I mean, it transports you maybe to that world that you experienced in the pool, right? When you jumped in, and you take all the clay, all the mold, the VHS that people throw away, and you say that VHS is dead, yet it is still here. That's the workshop that you did at the nostalgia one.
Yeah, so, and that's what you call it, which was great, because I didn't say it that way, but it was, I adopted that phrase.
So how do you feel? Is there a duality? Is there a binary between the material that you use and the possibility that you're going to, or is it more or one the same? Same side of a coin? No,
I think it's the same. I think there is no duality. I think there is no binarism. The binarism exists and is useful for programming, for example, but nothing is wrong in a way. I think this example will suit the answer or the question. When I started making the suspension, I wasn't thinking about the linear perspective, the Renaissance linear perspective. but in a way, it was a way of hacking that. But it wasn't that I intend that. You know, it's something that appears later, that that it unravels later. So it's in relation to the question, I feel that it's just one world, as Beckett said. You know, Samuel Beckett, he said there is just one world. The world that everybody that is here and the world that people that has gone. You know, just two worlds, not binary. You know, it's like,
If there's two worlds?
yeah, but the other one is not anymore. You know, it's like a paradox, I think. It's like a world that you can bring back through memory, but it's, you know, it's like...
Yeah, that's a big exploration.
Yeah, it's a big exploration, but I like to polemize. Yeah, but I love that idea of some things. For example, I work a lot with this, which was something that we've been speaking with Mariela, for example, and even with Andres. And sometimes there are phrases which inspire me and open words and windows, worlds, I mean, and I don't try to analyze in a rational way. It's like something that, for example, there is this song that says, "Wear your insides out." What does it mean? But I feel that it has some kind of poetic manner that inspire me to ask myself questions. But it's not that I try to analyze, well, this is inside, this is outside, this is my world. You know, it's like, what can we do if we get rid of that kind of, well, in a way, as the suspension, I propose, what happens if we turn the world upside down and we look from that point? Yeah, it's not going to be coherent. It's not going to be linear. It's not going to be always the same, because it's like I'm creating the idea that there is one suspension, which there is not. Because when I do the suspension at the Shoga workshop, it was one thing. But then when I make it on a river at, I don't know, some province in my country, or when I make it on an art gallery, there wasn't one suspension. Because I work a lot, and it's the time to introduce the master of the masters, which is called Rodolfo Kusch, which is a philosopher, which proposed that thinking is not always the same. It depends on where do you put your feet. So what kind of thinking would you produce if you're hanging upside down and you're not putting your feet anywhere, on any ground? So the idea also, that goes also with the clay. What is in which way the clay modifies the thing if it's from different places, even and not in a symbolic way, in a very chemic way. You know, it has a different composition, has different elements. So in a way, it's going back, as Richie asked about these old things, to this idea of technopoetics. You could speak about the technopoetics of clay, because it's different, the clay from Jujuy, the one from Montreal, because it means, not in the terms of rational thinking, it's not a proper meaning. I brought something extra, sorry.
About something. But I'm going to ask him about
Good idea.
What I'm curious about, you know, the way you think about this continuum that you're working with of like information storage devices, and the continuum from the physical to the digital, and what that means for you. How does that like come into play with your definition of interfaces? I don't know if that question makes sense, but I want to hear you speak and respond to that.
Yes, it makes absolutely sense. I don't know, when I started working with this idea, I don't know, the thesis wasn't called inverse interface, and the person that started speaking about interface was Mariela Yeregui. And also later on, Andres recommended me to read some stuff about from Carlos Escolari, which is an Argentinian guy that works in, I think, Barcelona from like 20 years ago. And I started feeling that that it was interesting to hack the idea of interface. At the beginning, as I don't know, theorics, as Galloway might think, well, interface is the surface where meat finds metal. You know, it's a contact surface. But I've started thinking more in a way more related to Scolari or other thinkers, as Eddie Manning, for example, as broader concepts of interfaces, like something we could speak about epistemological interfaces. We could think about Shaw's The Movie as an interface that creates a way of relating to the ocean, you know? So in a way, I've started thinking about what happens if we try to make an inverse interface, not only because of this movement of going in reverse with the tape, but also with the idea of making the dead come back. You know, the dead sounds like, like this format, which is dead. Or even what happens if I go here and I have like, this is an interface for sure, not only as a book, but also as an Encyclopedia Britannica. You know, it's like we found this together at we are all the time, like, I don't know. So we found at the front door of a Greek architect, we found several boxes.
There are things.
Yeah, things.
Find things.
Yes, exactly. And we find, I'm quite interested on encyclopedias and books and as interfaces, because as shows, they create words that don't exist. Rodolfo Kusch has a really interesting concept, which is called the invented truth. You know, for me, this is an invented truth. It's not truth. I started working, my first time with the encyclopedia was with the Espasa Calpe encyclopedia, really connected to Spanish, of course, ideology, political ideology. And I've started, I was invited to live in a borough house, which inhabitants were gone. So they left a huge encyclopedia of 131 volumes. You know, you can build a house with that. And I also, in terms of what you asked between digital and non-digital, I think these are pixels. You know, they are like the smallest unity of the encyclopedia. You could bring something out of this, like a wall, for example, or I don't know, a machine, something, I don't know, where you put the animals, you know, you could make like a perimeter out of books and put, I don't know, goats inside. But the thing is
this like technological necromancy?
Yes, absolutely. It's like, that's why I'm proposing, I think that maybe it's time that Mariela speaks, I don't know, but because maybe she's busy later. Yeah. So, but I answer this, and yeah, it's really related to magic. We can still manipulate the rivers of magic.
I read Mariela is commenting that it's good to know that what you're doing is necromancy. Is it that?
Oh,
yes. Yes. Hi. Hola. Hi. Yes, I have time if you want to continue and complete your idea. Yeah. Until 2 p.m. I'm okay.
Okay. But no, it's okay. You can get involved in the conversation right now, because the magic is also related with our conversations, and the idea of the interface, inverse interface, is also related to this work I've been doing. Well, I don't know if it's politically correct that I say that, but it's like Mariela is the director of my thesis, the director of the program in Argentina on art and technology, but it's also like how do you call those beings that the fairies? Fairies?
Fairies?
Yes,
Fairies.
Like
yeah,
fairies.
yeah,
Fairies.
yeah. You know, she's like that. Yes. So in a way, she's connected with magic for sure. And the thing is that yes, that. Technology is related also to magic. There is something, when we couldn't make that work, it can be magic. That we have to do some. Why doesn't it work? We have to play some kind of magic. Well, the thing is, Also, something really important for me is to see that technology is a ghost, or techniques. I prefer sometimes to speak about techniques and to, I don't know, to leave the word technology to the Industrial Revolution. Maybe we should take it back. What do you think?
You're the one with the thesis.
Yeah, I think we should take it back. Maybe technology is ours also. But but this idea of technique, I really feel it really connected to magic, because it's related to make appear, to make something appear, and that's really connected to magic in a way. So in terms of that question, I think that, yeah, it's like necromancy, techniques, and even the thing is,
Technical necromancy.
yes. And even the thing when we start working with Mariela, one day she sent me an email and he said, well, I think one of the most attractive things of your thing is calling it inverse interface, because it synthesizes lots of things, not only the thing of getting upside down in the suspension, but this, well, the smallest sculpture that is there is like something that I make out of trash. But not as something, oh, we're South American, we have to work with trash, poor us. No, it's like a decision. I want to work with trash because trash, it's...
No, I think it's kind of important to say that, like, we invited, in this world, we inhabit trash. Like, trash is not something that really exists. In the world as it used to be, like, the cycles of life made trash, like, it wasn't something that didn't exist. So in a way, giving it life again, it's a way to, like, pointing at this need for the cycling of things to be something that we should be aware of.
Yeah, and even in terms of what you say, it's like, we can't get rid of trash. We believe we can, but we can't, it's obvious. It always comes back. So maybe it's better to face it and and do something out of that idea. And even
sometimes it's even nurturing. Like, if you take soil, for instance, if you don't, like, feed it, it becomes like something that is not useful anymore. Like, it's really like there are nutrients that can be taken out of trash.
Yes, and even you can start realizing, for example, when we start with this project of the clay, we said, oh, we're going to make bowls and things for people to eat, and we are going to make, even previous to get this question of why do we buy clays, why do we buy pottery? Why do we go to a shop and we buy a bowl? So the idea was to make free pots, free bowls, free cups, free whatever to give away. But suddenly we realized that in cities, clays contaminate. You can't eat from that clay. So in a way, it's like facing that and even seeing what we can do with that. Maybe we can do, I don't know, because if you do bricks, maybe the bricks, if they are heated or whatever, they can, it's like they are not supposed to be used. So in a way, it's like a dead point. The idea is like, we were speaking about that with Andres the other day. It's how do we face precarity? We have to face it, in a way. Well, we can't solve anything, which is something really modern. We can't solve anything. I tend to think that I'm in a relationship with Lewis Mumford because I read him every night. So it's like a partner in a way. And he has, with this question of what's the first machine, he thinks about the clock, but then he says, no, the first machine, which is a way of hacking, if it's important, which one is the first or the second. It's like, well, the first machine is the soft machine, the machine made out of men, to construct the pyramids, for example. That's the first machine. The first machine is the idea of an emperor ordering lots of people to, I don't know, be all day long, working on the stones. That's the idea of, that's why I don't think of the machine as something that is outside our body. So I don't know. I went by the branches again. Sorry, but I'm back. Maybe Mariela wants to take me back home.
Okay, whenever you feel that I can intervene, I'm ready.
Perfect, because Mariela gave me a beautiful surprise. Not only she wrote a text in terms of related to the interface, inverse interface, but also he made like a PowerPoint presentation, which is a surprise, for an absolute surprise.
Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Let me see if I can. Okay. So actually, I wrote a short text that speaks about our first encounters and exchanges. So my presentation is inverse interface with sanguchitos de viga. And I will read it. I met Juan some years ago when he started his master's degree. I was the head of that program at that time. We met on Zoom for the first time since the pandemic began. And the communication between us was through Zoom's frames. At that time, the issue of the body appeared in our discussions. These present days, I try to look for those reflections on Slack, the communication platform we used during pandemic times, but Slack told me that I need to pay for messages that are older than 90 days. It is not that it does not worth paying for those exchanges. It is that I hate this commodification of our communication. But my memory can recall something he said. The body is thought. And I couldn't but agree for so many reasons. First, our bodies carry on the memories of having been thinking. There is such a strong imprint of thought in every single cell of the body. But also thinking and creating, thinking and acting, mind and body at the end are part of the same gesture. They are the creative gesture. We create and reflect through the body. It is the body itself, the one that helps us overcome the dilemma of the diverse body, mind, feeling, thinking. We can sentipensar, the native Latin American ontological philosophical notion that suggests holistic thinking that does not separate the mind from the body, our emotion from reason. Sentipensar entails a knowledge that intertwines thinking and acting, and that by thinking acts and creates, and by creating things. Juan and I exchanged tons of messages, and like Juan needs the soil, the polluted soil of Buenos Aires, he also needs his thoughts. It is also about digging deeply into the ground to discover the multiple geological layers. Layers of physicalities, virtualities, thoughts, remnants of useless things. Useful and useless dance together in Juan's creative processes. Let's go back to our encounter. I left Buenos Aires and came to Providence. The pandemic was still there. I was unvaccinated when I arrived in Providence, Rhode Island. I had never met Juan in person when I arrived here in 2021, but we were still in touch. We were still weaving exchanges and discussions, branching thoughts. Juan is always creating arborescent structures with the things and thoughts he gets from his digging activities. Digging and branching are his two main and distinctive actions, I think. I finally met him in person when I traveled to Buenos Aires last year. We were showing at the same gallery. It was weird for me to see Juan in person. He suddenly became real, but he was real, he is real. At the same time, I felt we knew each other for a long time. We left the gallery and he suggested going to a place very close to the gallery where we could eat sanguchitos de miga. We realized that we both loved the sanguchitos de miga, a very typical kind of sandwich from Argentina. We are both big fans of sanguchitos de miga. They are so amazing, I swear. At this point, I feel that it is important to talk a little bit about how I understand what an inverse interface is based on our dialogues and exchanges. I have to say I have no clear idea. And I have no clear idea because it is a moving concept in Juan's system. And its moving qualities related to the fact that this interface is inverse. Any usual interface is fixed, and it is frequently defined as a mediation surface, something that connects A with B to facilitate communication. So it cannot move, because if it moves, the communication would be broken, and there would be miscommunication. But in Juan's system, the body is not only thoughts, but also interfaces. That is, the interfaces move as thoughts and body move. Nothing is fixed, nothing is static. His interfaces are more related to the concept of transduction. I will read here a paragraph that explains the concept of transduction. The action of transferring genetic material from one microorganism to another by a viral agent, such as a bacteriophage. This is a definition taken from the Merriam-Webster dictionary. So Juan's concept of interface is closer to this idea of transfer and viral action rather than this idea of a fixed and unchanged surface. In the domain of computing, an interface is a communication link, a physical connection, a plug or a cable, or a protocol, a set of rules for requesting data, or both, a bridge between two systems, sometimes between two devices, but often between a human and a machine, or more specifically, between a human and a software application running on a computer device. If the interface is the meeting point for interaction, the inverse interface is activity, is infection. There is something in all these concepts that connect with the Bon-Siepe notion of the interface. This designer, Bon-Siepe, designer and thinking at the same time, said, The interface is not a material object. It is the dimension for interaction between the body, tool, and purposeful action. An interface can illuminate connections or leave them murky and opaque. It can open up possibilities for effective action or obstruct them. So action and body are part of the interface. Thinking and creation. That is what is all about in Juan's system. The inverse interface is something that is always evolving as long as no layers appear in this action of digging. It is a multi-layer thing, like the sanguchitos de miga. Thank you.
Well, I'm really touched by this presentation of Mariela because we speak a lot of times, but I never heard her like this. You know, it's like creating some, I don't know, I believe everything is clay in a way. And so I think that, I feel that she created something out of a clay, which includes our relationship, the sanguchitos de miga, the visit to Buenos Aires, and all the other things we share. I'm really attached to this idea of contagious, you know, like think about artistic or art technique practice as something you can contage, yeah, to people, or, you know.
What would be the verb of contagious?
Spread.
To spread, yeah, to spread. I like spread, yeah. The way of spreading something, which is like this, like a virus, you know. But I always imagine a good virus, but it's not like a judgment, good or bad. It's something that empowers or gives you the opportunity to think what happens in a way that's upside down, in a way that bones come back, in a way that technologies are thought as ecology, not as something that is far away from us, because I don't know. That's the idea of opening these black boxes. But even going back to what Mariela was saying, it was like that. I felt it like that when I started hearing her at the master program. The other day we speak by phone, and we were remembering the first day we speak. I was shooting a movie. I work as a technique at movie industry, but well, I don't anymore. But I used to at 2020, and she asked me, "But where are you?" I'm in a set. We are shooting a movie. Are you going to have time to make a master program? Yeah, I will quit everything. You know, it was like that was a way of, in a way, it was. I related to. Maybe it sounds bad, but I feel it that way. It was to kill the technique. It meant it had a cost. You know, to kill the shooter. the other day, so when she started, we were, I think it was something about Bienal Sur, like a thing, a Zoom meeting of Bienal Sur, which is an important Bienal in Argentina, but all over the world, but organized by the Universidad de 3 de Febrero, and we were speaking about thinking and about body, and that was the relationship. But even for me, it's important to say also that I think a lot and I do a lot, but it's really important when another person takes that and make its own. So Mariela, in a way, says that day, she says, "Well, body thinking. I think you posted on Facebook." She posted body thinking in Facebook.
Yes, I posted on Facebook. That is why I recall it, because of Facebook.
Yeah, that wasn't Slack, but Facebook, I think. And when I read that she posted it, it's like my own phrase got another dimension. You know, in terms of not of because I need to be like, I don't know, certified, but because it has like an effective dimension. Someone is resounding with that idea and spreading.
Someone is molding with your clay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, someone is molding, and even I believe in terms of Mumford that I don't know that ceramic is the first technology for sure. But even I might change tomorrow. But today, ceramic is the first technology. But you have different ways, because when we say ceramic is the first technology, someone could ask, but what kind of ceramic? Molded ceramic, hand ceramic, industrial ceramic? There is just one ceramic. But this idea of thinking also that, well, I don't know, modernity has the idea that when you mold something, the only thing that happens is that you are molding that. But the mold gets molded at the same time. We have that power. That's what I try to point. And I think that for that, the idea, when I studied the masterpieces, that's where I want to arrive, I found my place, and I have to thank that to Mariela. She invented that master program. So that was the mold also. That was a way of molding, but not with clay, with a digital clay, because I made the program as online.
Because of the pandemic.
Yeah, because of the pandemic. It was another kind of spreading, because it's not that spreading is always something which we might desire. I have lots of virus. I'm really attached to animal virus. I had antivirus, dengue. I catch all the animal virus.
You're healed now, right?
Yeah, I always heal. I tend to heal. I try to, but you can come up to the table if you want to. It's not you are not forced to, but we are making it this way. But you can stay there however you want. Okay. Yeah, come. You should come here. You're part of this for sure, Trisha.
Oh, yeah, I want to sit here.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You only live once.
So it's really important. We're speaking with one of the director of my thesis, Mariela, which is the director also of the program. She's not anymore because right now she's in the US working for another thing. So you have your...
I can be here, yeah.
I think we should play Turn Around, Bonnie Tyler's Turn Around, to get used to turn around every now and then.
I can't. I'm just scared there's like a body under this file.
You can...
I don't know.
So going back, I get absolutely lost because Trisha is like, I don't know, one of the basements of my staying here. Yes, but I mean it because one of the first things that happened when I arrived here is that I read a poster at Millier that said, "Come to the sexy, silly, awkward dance party." It's at the 10th floor, and I went there and I found Trisha and Dawn and other people dancing like crazy, 2 hours dancing without speaking. So, but I think everything's connected because I think Mariela also speak about dance in the text she writes. And for me, dance it's like something which I have to do to think. Well, thinking is dancing, of course, in a way, no? Yeah, movement, exactly, movement. Yes. So I don't know, it was like everything started to get connected because right now I agree it's movement, not dancing, and it takes me to the Erin Manning world, to that politics of touch and that thing of, because I really are into this idea, well, ceramic is touch. And it's a politic of touch. Even if you decide to go the mold way or the printing way, it's like different politics. It's not the same to reproduce than to mold with your own hands. It's not bad or good, it's just different. And well, I lost Mariela. I don't know.
I'm here.
And also there have, well, this is like, you know, like a moment very special for me because I'm seeing, I have to confess I have a problem in my eye. I'm not wearing my contact lenses, so I don't see the screen at all. But I can imagine there is Mariela because of the glasses, and I can imagine because of the body language that there is Flavia.
The body language.
Yes,
Watch out.
the exorcist. So this
One
is
of them. Hello, how are you?
Hello, Flavia.
How are you? Thank you
Here.
for you.
for the invitation. It's very nice to be here with Juan, Mariela, and everybody.
Well, you're most welcome. This is like a kind of dream come true, you know, because in a way I'm very childish, in another way not, but in a way I'm very childish for sure. And I invented this story in which Mariela is the fairy, and Andres, which is not here because he has had an urgency with his son, so he sent some stuff we will be reading later. But at the beginning, which is not the true beginning, but it's some big kind of beginning, there was Flavia Costa there telling me things about my artwork that I never had seen before, but that I'm seeing right now. Right, the other day I was writing I'm all this time writing for sure, and I was reading some things Flavia wrote, like for Ludion, which is a platform of art and techniques in Argentina, and it says, "Oh my God, I'm doing that right now." You know, it's like a series. So in this mythology, which we've been speaking at the beginning, it's like she has that character. So I invited them, Mariela, Andres, and Flavia, to speak about these things that happens between things. I know
Mariela is the fairy, I'm the visionary. So everybody has something to do here in this magic place. Well, I thought about what could be useful to with you here, what to talk about, and maybe I can read something of that text I made for Ludion, because I would like, if you want, Juan, you to tell us what is exactly what you see now that I try to write, to see some years ago. In fact, that's what I could see at that moment on your work, and at what really was attached to that kind of Dionysiac artist, of the experience of delusion, some kind of mechanic form of dealing with everything you cross, you meet, you look at. And if I can read.
Yes, for sure. It's you're free, of course. You don't need me to tell you.
Some paragraphs, like maybe then you can, or your work. First of all, I think I thought 4 or 5 years ago that your work was and yourself were ferocious, factorial in some kind, and very fertile, very fecund. You're always, because it was a text, he's always producing and showing alone or with others, almost always with others, reworking his works and writings as a sort of autonomous machine that has no off key. No, you cannot put it off. He proliferates in resources and styles, genres and languages. He usually presents himself as an audiovisual and sound artist, although Juan's works include sculpture, recitation, action, video, installations, and performances, as you know. He has ventured into bioart and generative video, but also he has large-scale sculptures, and he also do dance theater. The materials with which he works range from X-ray plates, ceramics, and molten plastics to VHS tape and animal bones. And I quote something Juan has written before, no? Just as I cannot avoid questioning the body-spirit division, I believe that my crawl from discipline to discipline is my way of blowing up the division that is being imposed between them. An inexplicable way of training. Juan wrote this in different versions of his presentation text. I mean, also, although he says the same thing, he is always rewriting his own presentation. And I continue quoting, it is my way of going through art as a way of life and as a ritual, in which from time to time I sacrifice a version of myself so that another once appears, substituting the previous one, exacerbating it, violating it. Another fragment of this text is the one where I say that one of the most persistent axes of his work is the notion of unfinished, even unending. His pieces are never finished. They are still and perhaps forever in process, or rather in vital development. The unfinished is, long before an attempt to ward off the panic of the end, a gesture of violent destabilization of all that might appear to be certainties in the field of art and of life. The work, the author, the project, the good form, the style, the tradition, more than the constructed. These categories are in the work of Juan in state of corrosion. Hence, it is really challenging to delimit which are the predominant materials in his work. You talked about ceramics, but I think that the first of its materials is his own body, understood as the sounding board on and within which objects, memories, interviews, sentences, read or heard, alluvially fall. For example, quotes from Mark Fisher, from Franco Berardi, now from Louis Mumford, no? Fragments of his own work or that of others, experiences that Miceli processes a bit like a mechanical sign processor, opening his jaws, putting everything inside, shaking or convulsing, and returning the result to the surface. In Miceli, everything is exposed in this ray, in a mixture, but that is exactly what he intends to present and not to represent. And in that sense, these pieces' experiences are completely honest. The remains of a battle of science that continues to develop in our field of perception once we go through the situation of being in front of one of his pieces of work. A quote from the past one. I think that art is a mixture of traffic of inexperiences and the last refuge of magic, no? With something else that I don't even try to define. From that place, which I could call elementary knowledge, I generate artistic actions that leave traces. The second material that appears insistently is the VHS tape. Tape taken from old videocassettes from the fleeting heroic era of the home filming. The VHS tapes covers the nudity of Juan hanging upside down on the suspensions. It's the black milk that surrounds the disturbing creatures of the homonymous installations, black milk, from 2018, carried out on the steps and in the Guastavino room in the National Music Center in Buenos Aires, is the nylon that giant monsters exude via something of his sculptures in all nylon, made in a style that Miceli called fantastic trash. It is a proof of the persistence of the past in unprecedented forms that trace of an imagination technical solution that no longer works and that nevertheless pilsitates to continue existing in other ways. Indeed, Juan develops a persistent reflection on the obsolescence, planned or not, of the technologies, as in the conference entitled All New Technologies Will Be Old, which he gave in 2019. Well, as you know, a significant cleavage in his work occurred in 2013 when he was hospitalized for months and in a coma for 3 weeks. No? I think that that experience makes something about his own way of make a reflection on himself. You know? My work is me, Miceli has said in different contexts, interviews, information, chats, catalog, texts, a psychochemical semiotic self that thrives on the state of tension and confusion between formats, supports, and contents, between the figure of the creator, the spectator, and the performer, and from all the appropriations and misunderstandings that the transdisciplinary brings to the field of contemporary art. A self that is allured on and elided in several of the figures that preside over and give title to many of the works or exhibitions of Juan. The impostor, the double, the invisible victim, the nameless, the visitor. And in a counterpoint from which he seeks, like a Dionysian and maximalist hero, to fight against everything Apollonian in this world, as in the series La estafa de la forma, or the conference Matar el simulacro, una estética latinoamericana de la acción, Kill the Simulacrum, a Latin American aesthetic of action. Two ways to put to work that Miceli understands to be his main creative engine, the existence of a systematic subversion of myself, quoting Juan, a certain virile character of doing, a holding search for justice. That was my text some years ago. And I think that some of these ideas still continue here, but also I think that something of that movement is taking another form, maybe a new form or even a form. That's what probably Juan is trying to do is in this. Maybe I don't know if it's very formal, but I hope it is a formal way of doing the doctoral thesis and the work in the academic field. No? I think he's going to something to chemically, psychochemically transform in this path through UNTREF, no? The doctorate, etc.
Well, thank you a lot. I'm ashamed. I don't know what to say after that. Not ashamed. You know what I mean. But the thing is that every time I need to explain what I do, I can send that article. In a way, it's simpler that I speak. And when for example, when we were just beginning, there are some things that even I think that Mariela or even Flavia could speak better than me about my work. For example, when Maripa asked what's VHS, it came to me the description that Flavia makes in that. That's the way of saying what's VHS for me. In a way, it's like, of course, it's like an invented truth also. I could speak about that in a different manner, but that could be the manner in a way. It's like, but I also feel that is something that you only can build with another. It's like with the world exists because there is another always. You know, it's like there is a meeting point in which, I don't know, the other day we were speaking with WhatsApp with Flavia, and there is a main book for me which is called Las bodas de Cadmo y Armonía, the marriage of Cadmo and Armonía, and it's a very important book for me because my father gave it to me and he died and I never read it, but I read it after he died, and it was a way of being with him, and I never had the opportunity to speak about that book with him, but it related to magic. You know, it's like I can be having a coffee in a way, reading that book, but I never crossed paths. To all the important people to me, I said, you have to read the marriage of Cadmo and Armonía, but nobody did, until I found Flavia, and she said, oh, that's one of my favorite books, and I made an interview to Roberto Calasso, and I don't know, I think 2000 and something, 5, and it was like we started speaking, and one thing about the book which is great is that it starts with a Salustio phrase that says, these things never happened, but they exist forever. So in a way, that WhatsApp conversation was a way of making things happen again. You know, it's like we were speaking about Ulysses and Athenia or whatever. So it was like when Richie at the beginning was asking me what do I feel that I can do with art. Well, I can do that. You know, you can rebirth like a dead goddess. You know, it's like that's why I imagine. Or even when, I don't know, Mariela said body is thinking, she's building something that didn't exist before. Well, you said it better. She's making her own clay with your clay or something like that. So that, well, I will stop speaking. I will get some water. You can speak. I'm dying.
I have the video for Ricardo.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
What you make?
I will take the water.
Cool.
I can't speak anymore. I don't know what to do. Thank you.
That's fine. Right? Yeah. Who needs hair when you got
That is great.
I don't know what it looks like, but I feel fabulous. You look awesome.
Oh, I will wear that.
You will wear it.
Yes, I will wear that.
How will you wear it?
I don't know, maybe like this.
Oh, wow.
Like a beard.
Yeah, like that, but I like this.
Yeah, with the
Santa?
Yes. So Doug is telling me that right now we have a video from Ricardo, because in this meeting I'm trying to reveal, it's like, as I told you before, but as people renews all the time. I mean, some people renews all the time. It was like in the beginning, it was Flavia Costa who wrote about what she saw in my artwork that I didn't see. Then it was Mariela, which was like the fairy that, I don't know, make something resound. Then it was Andres, who isn't today here, but he sent something we will read later. And then it was Ricardo, who was my mentor here and opened a lot of possibilities here in Montreal, even his house. So
Hello, my name is Ricardo Dal Farra. I'm professor at Concordia University. And this video is about Juan Miceli's work. He's a master's student at Utrecht University in Argentina and came to Canada to have a residency under the Emerging Leaders in the Latin American program, where I am the academic supervisor for his 6 months in Montreal at Concordia University. Juan is a very active artist in Argentina, but also has been doing a lot of things in Canada. He's very active with his research at the library every day, and he has been making a lot of contacts and a lot of presentations That's wonderful, with Milieu at Concordia and with many other spaces around. So the work, all the paperwork to make him come to Canada is not easy. There are a lot of steps to follow, but I'm happy that he could take this opportunity and he's enjoying doing his work. Congratulations, Juan, and enjoy his work. Bye.
Oh. So the idea is, I don't know, there are other parts of this which is a mix between, and I don't know if we want to ask something to Flavia or Mariela, not related to my work, but related to anything, because they are like great thinkers and people that is related to an artist. Yes, related to technology, to AI, to whatever you want to ask. I think it's an opportunity to speak of whatever you want with them. And I don't know, maybe you want to.
Maybe there could be people to ask about the word technology. Like when
you have two chats. You have two chat messages.
Oh, there is two chat.
There's two.
Two chat messages.
Yeah. So I wonder what they are.
Who can watch at that?
One, I think that was Mariela.
They are.
Yeah, how do you define the word?
Yeah, or like, how do you take it back or find an alternative to that? Because when you spoke about taking that term back, I in my head I went into like, well, how if I don't use that word, then how do I describe what I do? How do I describe my practice with digital art or tech art or programming?
Well, that's a super interesting question, because maybe I can get some help from Mariela and Flavia to answer, but I can say what I think. It's that in some discussions at the master program, I'm an artist. Even before this text Flavia wrote, in which she started speaking about art and technology related to my work, I used to think I was an artist, not an artist and technology thing. So, but in the master programs, I always refer myself as an artist, and it was like some fellows some of my fellows say, why do you say you're artist? Artist is like, I don't know, a class, like something that defines a class and defines a type of art which is related to modernity. So I have to start revisiting this idea of art, of saying I'm an artist and whatever. So I think that you can apply that also to technology. And my idea at the beginning was to find a different word, but then I realized I could find a different word, which is the one I proposed in my thesis, which is art technique, because every type of art is related to a technique. There is no technique also that relates to a type of art. It's like there is no dichotomy there, you know? For example, right now, if you want to, later on, we can go to the backyard of the play and see that the same images are not the same if you show them as a slide or an overhead projector or a video or whatever. But the idea that was also a political gesture that I want to make, that I want to recover the word art. I don't want to give it away to modernity. You know, it's like part of recovering. For lots of time, people says, I go to Milian and say, I will take the USB microscope, I will take this, I will take that, I need that, I'm all the time, you know, and I'm kidding. I'm just recovering what it's us, you know, ours. I mean, it's in a way like a political gesture of getting back what you think that belongs to you, in a way. Even it's not that it's just a joke, you know, but the word arts or the word technology also belongs to us, even if it's something related to modernity. You know, it's difficult to think of technology without thinking about industrial revolution. Yeah. But I think it's another possibility of getting that word back.
And we probably need it to survive. Like, I'm not sure if we could survive without technology at this point. So we need to recover the word.
Yes. Yes, and even there is something which is a great thing. I'm really cara dura. I don't know how to say that in
No. Like like someone that doesn't care about being exposed.
Yeah, that
like shameless.
and even
Yeah,
it's not
shameless.
yes shameless. And I don't know why I'm saying that because it's like
I don't know why.
I got lost, absolutely lost. No, but
Why would you
Well,
say that?
it's shameless in the sense that you're like taking the word and being like, this is what I choose to call technology.
yes,
All of these things.
yes,
All of what I do, my art, my programming, my, you know, reshuffling of information storage things, the reuse of materials. All of that is a technique, and it's a technology.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. You remind me what I was about to say. There is a huge phrase from a philosopher. I can't remember the name, and I didn't even read except that phrase, which says, "Is technique which is an organ." You know, I think we shouldn't think of technique.
How would it be in Spanish?
Es la tecnología lo que es un órgano.
Ah, okay.
The prolongation of life by other means.
Okay.
You know, it's technology which is an inside out. It's like we were inside. What I say before, like wear your insides out. Well, that's for me related to technology. Technology as an organ, not as something that it's outside. But for sure, Mariela and Flavia had something more interesting to say about technology than me. I don't know if they want to.
They gone? I don't see them on there.
Oh, we're alone.
Oh, is that what happened?
There's 15 people watching.
Oh, shoot.
How many?
15 on the Zoom and the
So
live stream.
maybe you don't, yeah.
And what do they say in the chat?
Ahí está Mariela.
Ahí está Mariela. This is magic, Mariela.
Yeah, I got lost in your branches, so I'm not sure. It is too abstract to talk about technology or technique, and the thing I want to point out is that related to this problem of art and technology, artists and technologies, from where do you build the question? So that's the thing, but because everyone use technology, and this pencil is also a way of, it's a tool, it is a technology in itself. So the thing is from where you build the question, and if you build the question from the epistemic field of technology, so you're an artist who is working with technology. It's not the tool itself, it's the how you think the process. So for me, that is the whole problem. It's not if you use a computer or if you use I don't know, artificial intelligence or whatever you use, or if you use a brush or you mold with ceramic. You can be a technological artist even if you work with ceramics or if you draw with a pencil. So the thing is that from where you start thinking your art, and if the question is built around the philosophical problem of technology, so maybe you are a technological artist. That is my point. I don't know if I
Yeah, it was for you, Leo.
Yeah.
that answers your question or not, but that is my approach. And yeah, when I started, I'm an artist too, and I work with technology, and I have been working with technology. I mean, digital technologies and physicalities and software and hardware during the last 20, I feel very old now, during the last 25 years. But now I'm not using the sometimes I use technology, sometimes not. I mean the technology, the computers, and what we mean by technology. But I'm mostly embroidering, and sometimes I use technology. I mean hardware, Arduino, and these kind of things when I embroider, and sometimes not. But the thing is that even when I don't use Arduinos or interfaces, physical interfaces, I'm always thinking about technology. So even my embroiderings without technology are technological embroiderings, because I'm building the question around that.
Yeah, I think that's quite interesting in a way, because when you're I don't know, a technological artist, you're all the time thinking about what technology is. But maybe there is a phrase that I love from Atahualpa Yupanqui, which is a musician from Argentina, that says, when it appears to be closer, it's the farther it is. So the idea that you are always trying to ask questions and get some answers, but maybe the answers change, because as Mariela said, it depends on where are you standing, from where are you asking the question, and it might be that you are not always at the same place. I don't know. It's in a way I think it changed. We try to. I think that maybe we try to believe that we are really focused on one thing, but we are moving targets all the time. We're moving all the time. I mean, not targets, but also targets in terms of what we speak about publicity and the idea of being captured by different devices and interfaces and whatever. And even, I don't know, the other day I read something in Twitter which say, I want to be the destiny in your Google map. It's romantic in a way, you know?
I want to be that.
Yeah, I want to be there, you know, it was. But that's an example of that technology is already inside. It's not something that, I don't know, but even though you can reflect, I don't know what Flavia thinks of. I'm really curious about what Flavia thinks about thinking about technology as an organ.
No pressure.
No, yes, of course. I work on philosophy of technology, so we are always thinking about that. But of course, that's I suppose the mainstream idea about technology today, and the anthropological point of view about technology as the point in which we can be human. No? Human beings are that because of we have the possibility of an externalization through technology that becomes also a constitution of these animals we are as human. No? The first of these technologies, of course, could be the language. Yeah. We don't consider it as a technology because it's just the situation in between what we used to know as nature and culture. But well, of course, language now, when we are talking about the large-scale language models. I don't know if I went out with the connection. But today, when we are talking about the large-scale language models, we now reconsider the question that language is a technique, an organ, maybe the first one, and then this situation in which we are today with this new digital technology, new as artificial intelligence remembers us that we are technological animals. No, the techniques we call anthropological view of technology when we talk about this kind of approximation, because when anthropologists and archaeologists go to look for antique civilizations and cultures, what they get are techniques, no? Pieces of something about old technology, and well, that are remains of a culture, remains of human being. Now, when we talk about, for example, artificial intelligence, some people say, well, it's not human intelligence, but this intelligence is completely made by human, so it's very human intelligence, not exactly the same intelligence as we as bodies have. It's a different way of intelligence. Some proceedings of all complex technology system we call artificial intelligence are proceedings or methods that imitate our proceedings, our methods, our reasonings, and another mechanisms or methods are different, absolutely different. The point for analysis, for the analysis of IA is that we can compare the results, what they product, not the process. But well, I get it very far from the beginning. Yes, technology may be an externalization of our abilities, of course, and they are artificial in the only sense that they are made by men, by people, by human beings, and not by nature. That gets us to the first, one of the three first tensions between surrounding the concept of technique, the common word for art and technique. Technique is different from, in the antique Greek, is different from physis, nature, from physis. Technique was another way of doing things happen, different than nature. Things could be on the world because of nature or because of technique. When they come from the world because of technique, human beings were the agent of that way of being on the world. The second difference about technique is related to paideia. Paideia was an unprofitable teaching. The people which do paideia, I don't know how to tell it well, they didn't get money for that. Instead of that, techniques and the artisan work was a profitable work. That's different. And the third difference about technique is that it's opposing to tije, the fortune. When you do something with technique, you know what you're going to get, you can teach it, and instead of that, tije, the fortune, the Tsarus, the hazard, you can't know in which way you can reproduce that. But paideia, tije, and physis were the three oppositions of technique in that moment. And in Carnelius Castoriadis said that in our times, this idea continue at the same time, continue being alive. But I insist, when you say the technique is an organon, it's because it's Aristotle said that the human being, by pieces, by nature, we are technicians. Because of our nature, we are technites. Human beings are, in this way, the first technites, the first producers of techniques, and also the first production of techniques. Mm-hmm. We are the producers and also the productions of the technique movements.
I think that is great because I don't know, it makes really clear this idea that information or what happening goes both ways. It's not that we make tech, but I feel that modernity tries to makes us believe that we are the ones that make something, but in that making, that thing is making us. Also, it's like
we are being made. We are being made by language, and we are taught by language, and we are made by technologies.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know if you have another question, but I'm also curious about both. We have here Mariela and Flavia. In what ways do they see to make, I don't know, a better living? Because the thing is that at the end, not a better living in terms of comfort, which with Andres we think it's the trap, but how can we build another networks, for sure I know, for example, I know what Mariela built at the University of 3 de Febrero is a way, for example, but it would be better that Mariela or Flavia could tell us, how do they see, what possibilities do we have in this art and technology practice to make a better living? I don't know who wants to say.
That is a tough question. Yes, I have no responses for that because I feel that I am kind of a skeptical person, but at the same time, I feel that I am an optimistic person. So I'm always in this tension between being optimistic and pessimistic, and my optimistic side makes me think that we need some kind of collaborative platforms. When I say platforms, I'm not referring to technological platforms. I refer to platforms where we can think together. The concept of togetherness is central, is essential. I really feel that togetherness is the clue, or provides some clues to think about a better way of living. Yes, in the last years, I tried to figure out how to build spaces for togetherness, for for building or thinking in this idea of togetherness and being traversed by this idea of togetherness. And I think it is essential. And for that, it is essential to develop situated practices. I think that if we don't think in terms of situatedness, it is very difficult to build something with the other. So, yeah, it is a very difficult question. I'm always trying to figure out and to test and to implement things. Sometimes things work, sometimes things don't work. So we are always trying. I'm always trying. I think that it was T.S. Eliot in 4 Quartets that said that there is only the attempt. And yeah, that is all I can say. It is, I'm trying. I'm always trying. There is always the attempt, and the rest is not my business. So that is what I'm quoting T.S. Eliot. Yes, and yes, in this field, yeah. In the last years, I try to develop projects that entail the other and involve the other, and try to think platforms where we can think together, create together, build together in an horizontal way. And yeah, I really believe in that. And this is my optimistic side. Yeah, but sometimes the pessimistic side says, okay, yeah, I'm not so sure, but still, I'm always trying to. Yeah, it's more like Sisyphus and carrying the rock. And yeah, I think that we have to carry our rocks and still try, even if we sometimes we feel that the rock will fall down the hill, but still it is important to keep trying. Yeah.
Perfect.
Points of like that there's a saying of community and of trying. In my head, trying, I think of curiosity, like continuing to foster a sense of curiosity, and also, which I find hard to do, but like coming from a viewpoint of plenty, or like a viewpoint of, instead of scarcity, of it's opposite of scarcity, bountifulness, plenty, which like you see here, right? Like there's so much freaking VHS tape everywhere. They're like, we're like rich in VHS tape.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how do we shift how we're viewing the world in terms of, because instead of seeing like everything is going to the shithole, because like it is in many ways, but also being like, okay, so we produced all this stuff. We made this because I also work with debris and garbage, but it's like we produced all these materials that we're rich in all of these materials. So like, how can we think creatively and curiously and keep trying to kind of form new forms of realities and futures? And I think that also sometimes makes you tired and you get exhausted, and that's what the community is, and that's what like coming together is for, right? So I think all those things kind of work together. That's my words. Throwing them out there.
Yes. Well, I'm convinced. As you were saying, and Mariela also, I have a part that today I'm optimistic, but I have other days. Yeah. You know, it's something we have to face, and it happens to everybody. I remember when I came here and we started at that Nostra Game Symposium. It's that you are nostalgic of something you lost, in a way. But not in the terms of a Catholic lost, you know, it's in terms of lost. Get rid of that idea. But the thing is, I don't know, today I'm in an optimistic way, but I think what I have learned with time is that you have to embrace the pessimist self. You know, the worst thing to do is to try to get rid of that. It's both. Yeah, it's both all the time. But even I'm really enthusiastic. That's why I think we are here. If not, I don't know. It's like, why are we here talking about? I love this idea. We are rich in VHS. Yeah. It's like, and we can transform it in not just VHS. You can paper or whatever you want to do.
And non-material things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even sometimes when you ask me what's VHS about, I also think about all the images that are here that are not material. In a way, they are material because they are magnetic, but in a way, they are floating. This is the whole archive of the Golden Age movies that were here at Concordia. I don't know if it's the whole, there are 100. But I work with personal archives. It's sometimes people give me their archives to destroy because they have digitalized everything. So that material has no meaning anymore. So in a way, it's a way of asking yourself about materiality. What is memory? Why do we need things to keep our, I don't know. It's clear because it appears also this idea of intelligence, artificial intelligence. In a way, when we start building memory sticks, we started getting rid of memory, in a way. You know, when you give something to a machine, maybe you are losing it also. If you give intelligence, I don't know what Flavia thinks about that, but if we did, I don't know, deliver the idea of intelligence to machine, it's not that it's bad, it's something that you are getting rid of in a way. Even though artificial intelligence is really human. The other day I read something that Baudrillard said, but it was in the 90s, so the thing was completely different. But he said, artificial intelligence does not exist because it doesn't have the artifact, which is the artifact of the seduction, of the passion, or whatever. But at some point, it was the artificialness of the body. It was interesting. But even it was something that he said when things were different. So what's the point in sustain? I don't know. I'm just bringing the thing to the table, but just to keep on making questions.
Well, the way machines work, at a certain point, maybe 2019 or 17, was rather easily reconstructed. I mean, that's what the idea of the engineers, at least, because these machines continue working with models generally of logical mathematical reasoning. So maybe we could see something about that. But when the neuronal networks began to be the standard of the development, at this moment, with the large-scale models, with a huge quantity of data, we are not sure how they work. Yesterday, I was listening to Ilyas Sutskever, one of the brains behind OpenAI, and he said that they are thinking now how to train neural networks which can get into the huge softwares and hardwares to understand how the huge neural networks work. No, they have to understand, because we cannot understand that with our brains, because we have so much. Well, I have to say that in the other way, the models are so large, that scale, that we cannot reach that scale. No? The scale is really, we have done what in Spanish I say, a salto de escala, no? A jump to another scale. So, well, maybe we will need, no, maybe, they are thinking that we should need machines to understand how machines work in that moment, in this moment, and in the future. No? Well, maybe we have to think about living with new entities at the same time as we understand that, well, biotechnologists are doing chimeras. I don't know how to say that in English, but the mixture of different species that didn't exist in the natural world, but they are being created. So maybe we are creating technological species, a new technological species, with a lot of human information, with a lot of human intelligence behind, but that they work in another way, or maybe in the same way we work, but in a so huge scale that we don't understand what they do.
I think that, Flavia, that's super interesting because I read it in the, Flavia wrote a book which is called Tecnoceno in Spanish, and that thing, I think that's one of the main things on the book, which is the jumping from one scale to the other. Are we ready?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I think that's the main thing. You could see, I don't know, you can imagine a community that doesn't contaminate if we are 100, but if we are 5 millions, it gets difficult, you know, because I don't know.
Scale,
yeah.
Just the quantity becomes the quality.
Yeah.
Karl Marx said that, and we can say that now, no? The quantity in a moment became the quality.
Yeah.
So the Anthropocene is in fact also a Technocene, and it's a jump of scale.
I will write down. The quality becomes a the quantity
becomes a quality. Yes, Karl Marx and also George Simmel, one of the fathers of the sociology, talked about that. No, the huge the cities in the city or in the community. In a moment, it becomes a society, not a community, a society. It's another thing, different thing. And well, in the urban planning, you can see that now. At that moment, it's a little city, a big city, and then metropolis or megalopolis is another thing with another rules and another relation between individual and the whole.
Absolutely. At the beginning, I was telling, I met Trisha at the Sexy Silly Dance Award Party, which is a program of Le Parc Méliès, one of the clusters of Méliès. And the proposal is to dance for 2 hours, but sometimes we sing something related to society. Yeah. You know, it's like an entity. And Flavia reminded me that thing we build is, we can manage that anymore.
Society?
Yeah, for sure. It's too big. And it's related also to this jumping from one scale to other one, which is, I don't know. But even though in the optimistic days, I think that spaces like I don't know, that some things that happen here at Concordia University, even if it's the system, the society, you know, that you can nestle some different practice. You know, like it happens at the core of the master program Mariela directed and invented. That's something related to creation. Maybe it's in a smaller scale, but it has like a broader, I don't know, reaching. I don't know how to say it. Richie. I don't
I think what's her name,
Flavia.
Said earlier was kind of spot on. You keep coming back a lot to modernity, and that's fantastic. I think just to prefix, I also met you because one of the first symposiums that I started here with the help of Leo as well.
Yes.
Was the Nostigan Symposium, or like how we use things that are lost. So like the materials of everyday life, be it media, etc. And how we are always perpetuated in modern culture. And what Svetlana Boym, writing on the future of nostalgia, says is it's called chronophobia. Mm-hmm. And it's exactly what you said earlier about George Simmel, right? About how the city is so convoluted and we are always so hyper-fixated on that busyness of life, so that people who live in the city have to use what we call locus of control, or that kind of a robot, a way of dealing with things without emotions, right? Rationalization, and, whereas people who don't live in the city can be nice with each other. I can trade materials and trade bread and food, right? Whereas anything in the city is fully has a value in it. So like these things earlier, like we are rich in VHS, we are rich in paper, for example.
Yes.
We find it rich because it gives us enrichment. Like the materials within itself can grow for what it is. The materials that make the tree or became the paper exists now and happened, right? Like you said earlier, things in this book didn't happen, but they exist forever. And so when nostalgia comes in, and you came back earlier when you said, what could we do to go forward? I'm thinking about what everyone's been saying so far. That machine back there that you and I have been trying to work on for 10 minutes and it's not working. It's not contingent just on the fact that that scanner needs to work because it trains us. We also have to train ourselves on how to use the scanner. So that machine not only becomes an operating machine, but the operator has to be mechanized into knowing how to operate the thing, right? It's like, there's not a non-human or a human. There's always a technological thing involved.
Yes.
So when we talk about nostalgia, it's not the fact that we are nostalgic about past that was, but a past that could have been. So when we go back and we look at the ceramic, we're not exactly looking at where the ceramic came from, you know, from like the dinosaurs or whatnot, but we're looking at the core, the kind of the very first aspect of what this clay, this mold represents, and what then it can be transformed into something else, while also retaining its own kind. You know, having the fruits of the tree before the tree was even bearing fruit, for example. And what I love about your practice is you really dig down, not only just with the product that they sell us, right? Or like you settle with just the paper outside and you do a very boring critique that many people do of, you know, oh, against modernism, oh, we shouldn't look at the labels, you know? This is like a thing that perpetuates stereotypes, for example. You go in and you look at what was the thing that was at play before people started playing it. What was already put there? What was already molded? The ideas behind it before the molding happened.
Yes.
What made the person who watches the film a movie watcher? What made the ceramic person who sees ceramic become a ceramic artist? What made Miceli become Juan Miceli, right? And I find that I'm still gobsmacked and fascinating. It's just the fact that you also work with things that people already discard, or as Walter Benjamin says, you know, culture is the ordinary. It's the things that we don't think about. It's the everyday thing. It's the boredom. But there's always that excitement, that possibility within it. And using that nostalgia, that final part of creative nostalgia, which is basically when you look at things that have been sold or forgotten or told that we should forget about it, or we should remember it because this book is good. You throw that away and you re-look at it, you re-imagine yourself in it, and you keep that personal, that creative, that social aspect of it. And in that potentiality and fantasies, your future is born. Not a future that is sold to you, that if you watch this film, you can go back to a time. Or when your supervisor may say, if you do this thesis, you will become great. You really reveal your own fantasies in the process of doing art, and you or yourself becoming a product of your art. So
thank you.
Sorry, took like 20 minutes.
One of my first friends here, Richie, I had to introduce him. Yeah, I love him. And the thing is that we're really connected, but I also in an affective way, but it's something that goes beyond friendship. I think that's what I propose through art. We don't have to go to eat pizza every Sunday. We have to get along in what we imagine for the future, in a way. As we were speaking at the beginning, I think that the mold is used to create all equal things, but it's also a machine of creating the idea of mold, as you said before. It's like, it's the publicity of itself. You know, it's, let's go the mold way. That's what the mold say. Let's go the mold way. And even when we speak about cities, we all tend to speak about cities as something that it's outside, but we are the city. That's the machine. That's the main machine. And we speak, I don't know if we speak a lot about modernity as something that has already passed, but I am really doubtful about that. You know, maybe we want to believe that it has already passed, and maybe it took different shapes and it's not the same modernity. But you know, the other day, well, I have to bring something that's going to be like a, oh, I have already here. Sometimes things shine that much that you can see it. It's like, get this book. This, I think, Lewis Mumford, he has a really...
Your partner.
Yes, my partner. I know it, I'm not objective. I go to bed with him every night, you know, even he's dead. But I shouldn't have said that. But the thing is, he tends to see this like in the 30s. You know, he saw that city is a machine. Things could have been other way. We could haven't used the steam machine. We could have get another sources of energy. You should read this for sure. You know, it's like an alternate path that didn't occur. You know, it could have been, in a way. I don't know. There are some ways of proposing things that even, I don't know, maybe today we recover this. I know Flavia also loves Lewis Mumford, and I didn't know that, but the other day it appeared on this WhatsApp conversation. But it's something that sees things so clear. That's a way of imagining different futures. Even I am critic with this idea of future, or I was, because future is something quite related to industrial revolution and the idea of progress. But we can get back the word future for us as we recover art and technology. But I think the explanation Flavia gave about technology and techniques is quite useful also to see what we are reproducing when we speak, or even being conscious. I don't know. Are you good? Thanks a lot, Trisha Enns.
Mumford is our first author in philosophy of technology. In our courses, I mean, is the first one because he wrote techniques on civilization, culture and techniques in another translation in 1934. And he was very, very clear, and he was the first historian of the techniques, which had a very huge cultural approach to that history. And we say he's the Arnold Hauser of the history of technology. I mean, so we can work with him with a very pleasant way, and I'm working in that seminar, Techniques and Society, since the 19th century, the 20th century. I mean, so since 1995. So in that moment, we didn't know, but years later, we realized that it was Gilles Deleuze who was the first rediscovering, the first, well, I don't know, the author who rediscovered Mumford and brought him back for the philosophy of technology in the last decades. No, he's not. He has not that anthropologist perspective we mentioned before, but he can understand very, very well something that later only the Foucauldian tradition, which very strangely is not read as well, Foucault himself is not read as a philosopher of techniques or of technology, and really he has a very, very powerful philosophy of technology. He always, I don't know if you have read Michel Foucault, but he always talks about technique of the body, techniques of the thinking, techniques of the economy. He's always talking about techniques. Well, to see that political technologies of Foucault and the Foucauldian tradition, the first one who talked about that was Lewis Mumford. The first one who looked at our societies, the conformation of our societies, of our relationships between each other, as real techniques, social techniques. And that, which Juan remembered minutes ago, that human mega machine, he talked about that, built of people, of human beings doing huge obras, works like the pyramids or like the military orders, or also the religious orders, were the first ways of social technical machines we can remember. I don't know if we can today have the same approach, because now techniques as a social force are so different and so huge, and has replaced a lot of work we did. So they are with us, like, as I said a minute ago, like something nearby a new species, with which we are living with. That the Mumford view, although it's very anthropocentric, it's also very, I suppose, more social engaged, more human engaged also, and that's something where we don't know how to do with that today. How we can engage. There's a very important discussion today, how to engage machines to the human values, and we don't have a philosophy which could help us to that in the postmodern philosophy. We have to go to Mumford, this kind of author, to remember how we can work with a social engaged theory.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that we have a wonderful encounter. We are having it, but I think that we have reached something at this point in the conversation, like a concordance or I don't know if an agreement, but we are networking and weaving something in terms of weaving with the VHS, and I really appreciate Mariela Yeregui and Flavia Costa being here, because there are two persons that I admire a lot because of the things I've already said, and even to share this with Richie, Maripa, Leo, well, the girls that left, and the people that is also on the Zoom, that I don't know if they are asking questions. As I told before, I don't see a thing, but maybe there are some questions, I don't know. But the thing is that maybe we can, I will have to, another thing which I wanted to, in terms related to this idea of the master program and the collective weaving, in Argentina, we have like a thing which we call La Gran Paternal, which is something autogestive, a network, an informal network. Is not an association.
Self-organized.
Yes, it's self-organized, and we came together because of the gentrification of the city. Lots of artist workshop were in this area, this neighborhood called La Gran Paternal. So we're going to have one La Gran Paternal artist to tell us about that, because I take part in that association, which is not an association, which is informal, because next Saturday and next Sunday, they are going to open the workshops, and they are really like, as you know, I ask myself, why do we buy clay? Well, why do we need a gallery? Why do we need a museum? It doesn't mean that I don't like museums, that I don't like galleries. The problem that I found is hegemony. When you think, and the mold molds you to think that the only way is the museum, is the gallery. What about an informal association of artists that get together, make a bunch of things, and open their workshops twice a year? But you can't sell, it's not meant to sell. It's not, it's just meant to share. It sounds a little bit hippie, but it started like 8 years ago, and it keeps going, and they had offered us to be sponsored by the government, by different foundations related to art, and we always say no. So that's another possibility of building something. We don't have like a directive commission. Everything is voted in an assembly. Everything is like, I don't know, you know what I mean? It's not, sometimes we think it's really difficult to sustain, but what about going in a different way? We don't have a Congress, we don't have a president. What can it be? You know, even so, I invited one of the guys that was there from the beginning with us. At the beginning, we were just, I don't know, 15. Right now, we are 100. And this weekend, we are opening the artwork. So I will invite Alejo Arcuchin to tell us about that. He speaks only in Spanish, and that's also a bet I wanted to make, because I really love people in Montreal, but I want you people in Montreal to learn to speak Spanish, because it goes both ways. I know maybe that you are not going to understand, but you have the option of the subtitle in Zoom. But the thing is, I would need to get some extra water. We can cut for 5 minutes. No, not cut the transmission. We can keep on, but maybe we can move a little bit. We have been sitting. Eh? Well, oh. I will be back in just 5 minutes.
Tienes 5 minutos más. I think so. It has automatic caption.
Right now it's.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we should all take
It's so funny. Does it look like it looks like it's created for like haunted house or Halloween, you know, like some spectacle going on. Yeah. You're like, whoa. I just think it's so magical that through one's work, like not even just his work, but the things he works with brings us back together. This is seriously, it's something else. This is the third time I've seen Melissa now at another event, and I see you again, right? And Leo is at every symposium I go to, but it's so magical. You know, like it's not even our research interests. It's the fact that we all do so long, you know, that you said don't walk out the road, fly instead, you know, like why do you have to go to a museum? Do it very hard. It's so magical.
Oh, it's not supposed to be that. I think it's just like I think it's just a weird type of chocolate.
It's a weird type of chocolate.
It's a weird type of chocolate.
Yeah, it's translating what I'm saying. It's a weird type of chocolate.
Here you go.
Thank you very much. Chocolate. Yes, sí, gracias. Muchas gracias. Sí, solo disfrutan esto. La carga es buena. What does that mean? Yeah.
Yeah, la carga is buena.
What does that mean?
See, the cargo.
The cargo. The box is good. Great.
No, we should take the chance now to like.
Post.
Yeah.
Actually, why don't we do it on the floor? Let's look up Michael.
Go ahead.
Sure. Going to stand?
Whoa.
Those are good. Yeah, I like them. Oh yeah.
There you go.
I never get things at the fair. I never get things at the fair.
Yeah, you would have paid like $30.
Oh, that was a good one. Oh. Like they say, 7 times the charm, you know? Does that help? That's in it. This is the way.
No.
That was one trick wonder.
Be careful.
I did.
Good to see you. Come.
Retaliation.
Oh!
Nice one.
Yes, I made an installation out of all the videos related to the VHS and other stuff, collective work. And invited a couple of persons from Argentina, the directors of my thesis. So I cut it because I gotta go to the bathroom. It's been 3 hours speaking. So if you wanna join us, you can. Yeah. I will take some extra water. Can I have another coffee? Yes. This one? Oh. What? Oh. I'm okay. It's like I have just one. Well, I couldn't. The guy that has his operated sent me a text, but I won't read it because it's like, I don't know, I can't read 3 pages. It's too much. I will upload it to Academia, then I will share. I will send if you want to share to the guest, I don't know. And I have just one last guy who is from this association of artists. He's going to speak in Spanish, so we are going to have a dialogue in Spanish right now. So, okay. ¿Qué?
Todo lo que decís está amplificado, ¿eh?
Gracias. No, la historia de mi vida lo supe.
Esta parte sola, no me digas.
I was like, wait a minute. Why did that pop up in my head? That's even funnier. That's funnier.
Everybody wants coffee.
Oh, sure. Oh my God. No, I got it. You sure?
Thank you.
Well, I will.
That was very. There's something so wrong.
You know, this is cut so perfectly.
Yeah,
you know, laser cut.
It doesn't look like it though, no? Why is there a whole, did you put this like for the nail?
Yes, this is like a drill.
Because this is actual bone, right?
Yeah,
Wait,
it's
so this is
and
an
flesh.
actual crocodile?
Yes.
I always thought it was not real.
Yeah, no, it's real. You know, I use it. Yes,
I was like, where did you
I
find
kill it myself.
No, really?
No.
Oh, come on. Come on now. Yeah, I know the murder weapon.
So we are back. I think we didn't say goodbye. I don't know if they're still there.
11.
Mariela said that she was going.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
So she said,
Right. They should be here now.
you would have to take formal goodbye. Is it like a long 5 minutes or like 5 minutes?
No, 5 minutes, 5 minutes.
So we should go back then.
Okay, go back. We are on the air.
All right.
Time is a tyrant, you know. So we are back.
Have you tried breaking these boxes? What happens?
No.
You
No,
never tried?
I never try. I never try. You can try.
Let me try.
Yes. Do you want me to try?
Yes, you're on there now. This is the first time. All right, here we go.
The first time. For the very first time,
Yes.
breaking the box. So we can think out of the box right now.
Yes, we
it's
are.
out of the cassette and out of the
Out
the
of
box.
a few boxes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
It looks like gelatin.
We can have the coffee here also.
From now on.
Yeah, it's contaminated. Just a little bit. Yes. So we have to. What do we have to do?
I mean, I put the camera where it belongs, but
Tenemos que poner la cámara. So we are back.
Nice.
No podemos tomar el café aquí también por ahora. Está contaminado, pero solo un poco. Are you reading this? The translation? So we are back. We are going back to the Zoom. Okay. There we are. So
bueno, muy bien.
here we are. I don't know if you want to go to the backyard, but I don't know if you want to. You can go to the backyard to see the machines. The backyard to see the Vision Machines Museum. You know, that was that. Yes, like the first Vision machine, the diorama.
Oh my goodness. I am Instagramming so much today.
Oh, Guillermo, that's my partner in Argentina. With him, we worked together for the video game industry, but he was my fellow at the master program, and there we are connecting through Arduino to make some projections at the terrace of my workshop. And that's the way we started working together. In a way, we started working through art, not through video games.
Love that pot in the middle of.
Eh?
There's a pot in the middle of it. Of the screen.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. A really antique thing that was in the house when I started working there, and I kept it. I didn't know how to put it, so I hung it from the wall because it was full of water when it rained, and suddenly the mosquitoes, you know. Yeah.
I know you're sensitive to that.
Yes, and I already had and that was at the workshop with Christian at Yes, invited us to build these scenes, which are really appropriate for this because it started with the suspension. But previous to the suspension, there was something which was like a ritual I made in the Delta, which was that I wear like I don't know how to say, the palm tree thing on my head, and I invoke some spirits, and I make a fire, and I put mud all over my body. Well, in that part time I was still dressed, but I have an inclination to taking off my clothes. I know Richie loves that.
When live your life right now.
No, it's okay. It's okay. That's no problem. Yeah. You can pass the.
Alejo might be waiting.
Oh.
Nice. Oh, you put it the other way.
But the thing is, it only goes in one direction.
No, so you have to go.
Yeah, you have to
keep up with
remove
it.
the things and put them like Wow.
Wait, I want to do one.
Okay. And this doesn't work. And these are the mica stone, the mica stone slides.
Wow.
And VHS.
Oh, yeah.
So you're not able to see because we didn't get the way of no pudimos hacer andar esta máquina.
What?
I don't know.
That's right. Yeah, we don't know how to work it. Do you know?
Yeah,
how to-
you put like a vinyl film and you write on
Yes.
vinyl film. Or
Yeah, we have the vinyls, but we don't get the image.
Yeah, it's I don't know if it's too bright or something.
You know.
Oh, I think you moved the thingy. I think keep it still, yeah. And this thing, what is this? Can you? Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hello. No, I think it makes it clearer. No.
Well,
Are we
let's
too
go.
far also? Oh, I guess it's done going this way. You can kind of see the side, right? See that? Yeah. So that's whatever that is.
Yeah.
Okay, you are going.
So it's
Yeah,
Far,
yeah.
check it out.
No.
No.
Oh, we have to go back to Alejo. Alejo.
Thank you so much for being talking.
Okay, so we are going to make for the last thing. We are going to speak to Alejo, and if maybe English speakers don't get what Alejo is saying, I brought this encyclopedia in which you can look for the words. You know, it's like super fast.
The reading season's over.
Okay, here we are again. It's Alejo there. Well, the thing is that I invited him because I can read the thing. What's he saying? Oh, well, but you don't speak Spanish. You have problems.
No, that's fourth space. If anyone has questions, just tell us.
Uh-huh.
Don't be so.
Nothing. Well, the thing is that I invite Alejo, as I told
He's right there.
Huh?
He's behind the chat box.
Ah, yeah. Ah, there it is. Yeah. Hello, Alejo.
Hello.
Hello.
Hola.
I will introduce you to the people that is here at the Zoom and even that's here at the fourth space in Montreal. The thing is that we are together in an informal association of open workshop. The idea is we are going to speak in English, in Spanish. That's why you have the translator. ¿Cómo andas, Alejo?
Bien, acá estamos ya con todo listo para la gran paternal.
Contanos vos en tus propias palabras humanas, ¿qué es la gran paternal?
Y es un trabajo colaborativo donde nos unen, creo que intereses muy diversos, donde no llegamos a entender bien cuáles son esos intereses ni intentamos que sean compatibles en un punto. Me parece que eso es lo que hace que pueda ser algo articulado y orgánico, donde en esta edición son 40 talleres de artistas, donde son 120 artistas, donde están con un objetivo en común, que es abrir las puertas de sus talleres durante un fin de semana.
Un poco la idea, perdón Alejo, es como proponer un acceso a la obra que no pase por ningún intermediario del estilo galería, museo, centro cultural. Contanos un poco eso, cómo surgió quizás, o cómo empezó en relación con la gentrificación del barrio también. quizás.
Claro, sí, uno de los procesos que se va dando en el mundo y en Buenos Aires también es que los espacios de arte se van trasladando por distintos barrios y Paternal es uno de ellos, donde hay muchísimos talleres. A cada año van surgiendo nuevos y a su vez también va entrando la cuestión de restaurantes, de otro tipo de edificios, deja de ser un lugar de casas bajas o fabril para transformarse en un nuevo lugar de, de edificios, de una nueva especulación inmobiliaria, tal vez,
Ya está
que
el
se va
Palermo
viviendo en el
paternal.
barrio. Y bueno, creo que desde la Gran Paternal hay bastante conciencia de eso, y se piensa en ese papel también que nos toca como de ocupar y poner, tal vez, darle como otra circulación, ¿no? También esto que vos decís, Juan, de que no haya intermediarios, de que no haya galerías, también es algo que es muy tentador y va cambiando la corriente del barrio. Va generando otros circuitos donde también entran los espacios gastronómicos, algunas galerías. Entonces, desde este grupo, desde esta red, el juego es ese, tratar de mostrar en otros formatos nuestras obras,
That's la Gran Paternal.
por fuera de lo que es el circuito tal vez más de galerías.
Justo ahí te interrumpí, Alejo, porque justo hay muchos videos puestos en todas las pantallas y está pasando uno de la Gran Paternal 9, creo, no me acuerdo qué número de la Gran Paternal, con el desfile fantasma de Ariadna Pastorini y el tren de la alegría de Gonzalo Duro, que no lo puedo creer. No me había olvidado que estaba como en la lista de reproducción de videos y acabo de darme vuelta y está ahí en la tele de atrás. Pero bueno, también en relación a lo que decías, como que esta asociación posibilitó que se dieran encuentros que muy difícilmente se den en el contexto galeril o museístico. Desde que podés ir a pedirle un tornillo o lo que fuera a alguien que ni sabías que tiene el taller a la vuelta, ¿no? Hablando de redes y de construir redes de trabajo desde lo afectivo también. Me parece que esto que estás contando también tiene un montón que ver con esa posibilidad, ¿no? No es solo saltearse a la galería, sino que saltearse a la galería implica poder encontrarte de otra manera también con otra gente, ¿no?
Total, sí, 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 entre nosotros y creo que genera comunidad, ¿no? Me parece que también con los vecinos, saber que en esa casa que hay como un movimiento que es desconocido para ellos, a veces está bueno que sepan qué pasa ahí adentro, ¿no? Me parece que también inserta a los talleres en lo comunitario. Me parece que abre también por ese lado, y entre nosotros me parece que sí, que genera otra forma de vínculo, de potencia, de relación entre nosotros. Después está bueno, esto de que vos justo traes del tren de la alegría de Gonzalo, y todo eso sería impensable en un contexto de museo o eso. Entonces es también apropiarse de la calle, es también recuperar no solo los talleres, sino también algo de esa red en el espacio público.
Totalmente, hay algo que está buenísimo de eso, perdón que te interrumpa, porque en realidad como las ideas siempre se nos escapan o nos llevan para otros lugares, porque la idea principal o el principio de la Gran Paternal era abrir los talleres y que la gente entrara y viera la obra y bla bla, toda esa historia que está buenísima. Pero por otro lado eso terminó siendo que la mayoría de nosotros elijamos mostrar en la calle. O sea, ya es lo contrario a abrir el taller, es mostrar, llevar el taller a la calle. O sea, porque veníamos hablando en la charla antes que vos entrabas también de lo indeterminado, de lo que uno planea pero sale de otra manera, que lo experimental también tiene que ver con eso, con que las cosas no van a salir necesariamente como uno quiere, Pero bueno, también hay algo ahí de la gran patronal en los orígenes que estuvo buenísimo, fue que había que organizar todo en una asamblea corta y con 100 pesos, que en canadienses sería como, no sé,
5.
claro, 50 centavos de cani, qué sé yo, de canadiense, de dólar canadiense. Y era eso, como que no hay, a mí cada vez, y ahora quizá que lo veo un poco a la distancia, porque es la primera edición que no estuve ahí en las asambleas ni nada, no me deja de sorprender que todo se arme de esa manera tan fácil, o sea, que alcance para pagar la imprenta nada más, ¿no? Y nadie cobra, no puedo evitar vincularlo un poco con lo que hace Silvia Rivero, de pensar el trabajo como una red, no como algo que te va a dar algo material económico, que a la larga te da también, ¿no? O sea, no es que se...
Sí, no queda por fuera.
Claro, no queda por fuera de eso, pero a la vez encontrás cosas. También en la charla interfaz inversa y con el trabajo de tesis para mí es clave, y por eso también le dije a Alejo que se sumara. Yo creo que este tipo de redes son una manera clara de ir por otra dirección inversa a la circulación habitual, ¿no? Y una de las cuestiones que yo creo que es uno de los moldes principales es el trabajo. Es lo que haces 8 horas por día. Si eso te modela mucho para el lado que vos no querés, estás frito. O frita. Entonces también me parece que, si bien es algo incidental que pasa 2 veces por año, lo de la gran paternal, pero también hay otras asociaciones como Artistas Autoconvocados o Área de Video, que es algo que empieza a surgir como una manera puntual de trabajar. Contame, Alejo, ¿hay alguna novedad para este sábado, domingo? ¿Vamos a tener señalamientos? ¿Va a haber alguna cosa que quieran participar, particularmente a la gente acá de Montreal? ¿Se van a poder meter por internet?
Tenemos un artista que está en Canadá, que va a participar.
No te puedo creer. ¿Y qué hace ahí?
Va a participar en un taller que justamente es en el que estoy yo.
¡Qué
Así
casualidad! No te puedo creer.
Se llama Juan Miceli, no sé si lo tenés.
Me suena, sí.
Te suena. Y esta es la edición con más talleres. Es la vez que la red
Es un pico.
está súper amplia. Tenemos 40 espacios y son 170 artistas. Así que es como un súper recorrido para hacer, donde sigue conviviendo eso del salir a la calle con abrir los talleres. Se incorporaron muchos talleres esta vez. También va a estar una recorrida en bicicleta por los talleres, que es algo que estuvo en la primera Gran Paternal, y en esta edición vuelve como la posibilidad de recorrer en grupo, en bicicleta, hacer un recorrido en bici por los talleres.
Está buenísimo. Te hago una pregunta re concreta a todo esto. ¿Se volvió a abrir la estación? Porque cuando empezamos a hablar hablamos de la soberanía cerámica, de que la tierra salió de las obras de esta construcción de los puentes, de los viaductos para el tren, pero la particularidad del gobierno de la Ciudad de Buenos Aires fue que nunca volvió a abrir las estaciones. Entonces la gente se quedó sin tren mágicamente, hablando de magia, de la magia negra, ¿no? ¿Ahora hay estación o todavía seguimos sin estación?
No, ahora quedó la de Chacarita. Una de las estaciones sigue sin funcionar, pero la de Paternal funciona.
Mirá
y en esta edición, un poco el lema que figura en el mapa es el no a las torres, a unos edificios que se van a hacer en un parque, que parece que eso avanzó muchísimo y que finalmente lo van a hacer. Esos edificios. Entonces, un poco esta edición está haciendo ahí un poco de visibilizar este tema, que es la construcción de edificios, y encima 11 edificios en un parque.
Claro, ese es el tema, porque edificios están implantando millones de tipo edificios palermitanos de 4 o 5 pisos, pero esta es la construcción, como decía Alejo, de 11 torres en un parque. O sea que perdés el parque y se te contamina, o sea, y se te llena de torres de 11 pisos el barrio. En ese sentido, me acuerdo que siempre también eso es algo importante de la gran paternal, que siempre nos interesa lo que pasa en la ciudad, pero fundamentalmente en la paternal. Y habíamos hecho una perfo que estaba muy buena cuando el lema de la paternal, no sé si era la anterior o la anterior, era que el tren había vuelto a pasar, pero no paraba. Entonces es una cosa absurda, de locos, que el tren pasa. Entonces el lema de la gran paternal era pasa, pero no para. It comes, but it doesn't stop. So, hicimos unas performances que la gente se tenía que, cuando pasabas por la paternal, te tenías que tirar del tren en movimiento con un paracaídas. Y tirábamos unos muñequitos con unas bolsas de nylon. Entonces vos veías que pasaba el tren y caían muñecos, una lluvia de muñecos que se tenían que tirar del tren en movimiento porque el tren no paraba. Entonces era una cosa surreal en un punto, pero a la vez algo que hace un rato Alejo hablábamos de cómo hacer la vida mejor desde la práctica. Esto era exactamente lo opuesto, cómo hacer la vida peor desde la práctica, que es cómo vos no podés volver a tu casa porque el tren no para. Entonces tenés que bajar 5 estaciones, o 2 o 3, o lo que fuera, y sumarle una complicación más a la vida que ya es de por sí bastante complicada para todo el mundo, y más si te cambian ese tipo de movidas. Pero bueno, este es el contra las torres, que lo de las torres aparte viene... No sé, bueno, acá en Montreal también, para hacerlo un poco local, vemos que hay un montón de torres en el microcentro, en el downtown, por ejemplo, todas vacías, ¿no? Para empezar también a ver que, o sea, a alguien le conviene que haya torres, ¿no? Aunque sea no tanto para encontrarlos, sino para preguntarnos cuál es la idea de construir. Y lo relaciono con siempre Lewis Mumford, no, que tiene que ver con esto. Él plantea, por eso se llama, a mí me cayó la ficha tarde, el libro se llama Techniques and Civilization, o Técnica y Civilización, porque esa es como nuestra interfase con la que nos relacionamos con el mundo. Siempre tenemos que tecnificar y construir y civilizar, digamos. La ciudad es claramente una máquina de civilizar. Entonces no importa que no las use nadie las torres, lo importante es construirlas. Pero también es como la dicotomía, ¿no? Volviendo a la paternal, suena como el peor plan del mundo, anular un parque para construir 11 torres, que igual hay millones de torres vacías en Buenos Aires también. ¿Ves que hace falta que haya más torres? Pero bueno, son todas las preguntas que nos podemos hacer también, porque hay gente que se las hace y más que hacérselas también es que circulen, ¿no, Alejo?
Total, sí, que la información se comparta. Y aparte esto que es, en la mayoría de ciudades pasa eso. Es algo que se repite y los barrios, esto mismo de que los barrios de artistas se van mudando, no sé cómo es en Montreal, pero en muchas ciudades pasa exactamente igual, de que van subiendo los alquileres y los espacios de artistas se van mudando en base a los lugares más económicos.
Tal cual,
O
¿viste?
sea, ¿ya pasa también o ese nivel
Sí, es
de...?
como...
Pasa igual. Yo creo que debe pasar en todas partes.
Sí. O sea, rajen que vienen los artistas. Get away that artists are coming. You know, it's when they come, it's because it's cheap and you're going to gentrificate that, no?
Amado mío.
Amado mío, love me forever. Well, with Richie, one of the, this is like a TV commercial, you know? It's like, yes. We get to connected because we are fans of a band which is called Pink Martini, and we started dancing a song which is called Amado Mío, and Richie amazingly knows it in perfect Spanish. So if you want to sing it, you are most welcome.
Not all publicity is good. I take another shot.
So, entonces, Alejo, bueno, el sábado y domingo esto es siento como que hay un flashback del anticrítico de golpe, ¿no? Se mezcló algo ahí.
Total.
Cables.
Total.
Entonces estamos de sábado y domingo de
4 a 20 horas, ahí vamos a estar con todo el barrio abierto para recorrer.
Buenísimo. Una cosa que nos olvidamos de decir que es fundamental de la Gran Maternal es que tiene el mapa, que vos vas y buscas un mapa y con el mapa vas siguiendo todo, están todos pinchados los talleres ahí. No tenés un mapa a mano, ¿no? Yo no traje.
Sabés que no,
O
Los,
no,
los
tampoco,
los
pero no
tengo justo
importa, lo
en
pueden
el
encontrar
local.
online y después se lo agarran en papel en cada
algún
taller.
sitio donde pueden encontrar?
¿Cómo es el sitio bien?
Es lagranpaternal.com.ar.
Buenísimo, ahí encuentran los mapas y también tiene esta cosa medio de exploración de antes, que agarrás el mapa y vas siguiendo el caminito con las migas de Hansel y Gretel. No,
A ver, por ahí puedo... a
no, está bien
ver.
que trabaje la gente que busque en internet.
Claro, está en internet.
Claro, está todo en internet. Va a ir en el Zócalo aparece lagranpaternal.com.ar. Bueno, ya estamos, ¿no? Medio con toda la cuestión. Esto fue interfaz inversa. Le quiero agradecer una última vez a todo el mundo que se acercó, a María Paula Lonegro, a Leo, a Richie, a Melissa, a Ariana Seferiadis, que fue también como un gran... ¿No tengo que decir? ¿No? ¿No tengo que decir? Que, bueno, que me mandó un mensaje para el WhatsApp. ¿Cómo se llama? No, que toda la gente de Milieu estuvo genial conmigo, la verdad que lo quiero agradecer. Lucy, la gente de Le Parc, bueno, Marc Villiers, que es un crack, etcétera. Toda la gente del Force y bueno, por darme esta oportunidad de abrir, ahí tienen, si les da alguna curiosidad más, hay un dispositivo en el que pueden acceder a la documentación de la tesis. Y bueno, nada más, yo me despido vamos a comer. Ahí está el mapa, mira, ahí lo tiene Leo, el mapa de la Gran Paternal. Ahí está perfecto. Bueno, nos estamos viendo pronto en la muestra de la Escuela de Cerámica. Le quiero agradecer a la gente de la escuela. Bueno, gracias. Ahora hay que juntar este muerto. Wow. Qué intensidad, ¿no? ¿No tenía que decir? ¿Estás de incógnito? ¿Cómo no vino Mark?
All right. Thanks to everybody who joined us in this space and on Zoom. We're going to close up the Zoom now. Thanks again to everybody who came for this conversation. Have a nice afternoon. Thank you.